to have a shot at that $40,000 that they can win with first place. Otherwise, Ardent will be taking home the trophy. And we are going to see first pick, first ban from Invincible Armada here in game number 2.
Now, this is going to be really interesting. They banned out the Kestrel last time, but I don't think they can do it this time around. I really don't think they can. I mean, it's going to be different because they have first pick this time, but let's say we see a Catherine ban here or another Vox ban here out of Ardent.
It should be Vox. They ban Catherine here. They'll just, Invincible Armada will first pick Ardent. So, but I suppose they could. Very interesting situation. Vox is up for grabs. And now we get to see what the priority for Invincible Armada is. It will be Sky, interestingly enough. So it should be Ardent Vox here, one would assume.
Yeah, I don't know about that Sky first pick, to be honest. I think it should have been Ardent, but it's kind of a rough spot when you only have one pick. I think that was a really nice ban, actually, from Ardent to force this situation.
Yeah, so they take away Druid's primary hero, and we've seen MixG play it several times in this season, but Druid, the player who is most scary on that particular pick, and we will see a Koshka coming through again for Invincible Armada.
So now who does Ruin pick?
I mean, Ruin did go for that Finn, and it's going to be the Finn again.
That's what I was going to assume. He did it before. We were talking about it last time, how the Adagio just... I don't know if it's going to be all that great against the Vox, to be honest. I think they need some pick to pull him in and just get Vox out of that position. Flash X once again giving us the fist pump as they last picked the Black Feather again. So very happy with that draft, and I would have to agree with him. I think Ardent Alliance once again won the draft.
All right, well, let's get into it. Game number 2 of the Grand Finals right now. Game 2 of the Grand Finals. Ardent Alliance up 1-0, running a very similar composition. Meanwhile, we have the Koshka back for Invincible Armada, and the Finn again. Shout out to James Joyce.
Huh? What?
It's okay. You'll get it someday.
What? I'll let that one slide. I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, so MixG did play 2 games of Vox in the semifinal up against Gangstars, and we have Druid back on the Sky, which we saw in their last game of the semifinals with that when they picked up that perfect game. So a bit of a change, but Ardent again taking the Ardent and having that same threat here for the backline to deal with Druid. Now Ruin played Finn, and he did a good job. They did have this exact same composition, and it does allow for a lot of chained crowd control. Basically, you can hook into a Death from Above and get multiple stuns.
You can also lock down with the Koshka first.
And then hook.
And then Death from Above. Or there's just so many different combinations, as you were talking about. So definitely going to be trying to lock down MixG here, and hopefully get a bit more protection for Druid this time around from that Black Feather. I'm sure they had to know the Black Feather was coming. They weren't just leaving that open saying, oh, they won't pick it again, right? No. I think they were just going for this composition in hopes of doing a bit better against that Black Feather.
Yes, indeed. So Ruin and Druid slowly moving into the enemy jungle. They will force Shinkaigen out temporarily as they loop back around through Ardent's side to clear out the wave. And this is pretty typical Ardent Alliance, which is just push the wave very aggressively early and then start to chase out members of their own jungle. And Druid will have the superior wave clear early here compared to MixG's Vox.
Yeah. Once again, we get a pretty passive early game here. MixG just really wanting those minions. In fact, playing with death here, trying to get those last minions.
Yeah, he has to be very careful because that target lock will allow the Sky to run him down with the movement speed boost. Flash X finally getting back into lane to provide a little bit of support.
Yeah, and even though this early on, if you die, there's a pretty long or short death timer rather, you still have to run all the way back to the lane, and Flash X isn't tanky enough to just hold the wave of minions outside of the turret, like we saw Ruin doing last time with the Catherine for that Druid farm this early on. So he definitely does have to be careful. Kills can be a bit useful in that situation, specifically early on.
Yeah, Wine, a couple of crystal bits, taking an early advantage over Shinkaigen too, just trying to make it difficult for him to farm. So Invincible Armada definitely playing a more aggressive early game than they did last time. Wine, it found out here, takes a little bit of a feint there from Shinkaigen, but still gets those small forward camps. Druid is going to clear out the wave after moving down for a little bit of a quick shop and grabbing that heavy prism and eclipse prism. So of course building into the Frostburn first.
So far the early game has gone quite well here for Invincible Armada, already a 1,000 gold lead. And that's mainly just due to their rotations. Druid clears out the lane a lot faster, as you were saying, but that gives them so much time for them to steal the healing camp in the middle there, steal the small shop camp as well. And, you know, just getting small leads here already in the farm for Invincible Armada.
I like how they're taking advantage more of the Koshka versus Blackfeather matchup to trying to use Koshka's early game power to deny just a little bit of CS. And they have taken a slight advantage, but Ardent Alliance catching right back up. Mixi now having to deal with a Frostburn in the lane, and that's a lot of damage onto Flash X. As Druid completes his first major core item, Mixi's still looking for that alternating current.
Still trying to farm it up, Flash X.
Very close. Wine opting not to use his ultimate right there to try and finish off that kill. Perhaps a little bit too passive, but getting caught on the turret can be detrimental, and they're going to try and pressure this gold mine instead. Now, Ardent Alliance is going to come in and try and get this. Ruin is not going to be able to go down immediately, and Shinkaigen actually, we do see Mixi with the Koshka ult on top of him. He's not level 6 yet. Neither is Shinkaigen, so ult advantage, but they do get the kill, trading 2 for 1, but they lose the gold mine. So a nice win there from Invincible Armada. Mixi chunk very low. But Invincible Armada not in a position to really take that turret just yet. Let's take a look at that fight again.
This is just a fantastic idea by Invincible Armada. They got Flash X so low, and they didn't go for the dive. Instead, they used that opportunity to go for the gold mine instead. Of course, Wine getting a little bit too far ahead of himself there, but they get the gold mine, trade 2 for 1, push in the lane. Mixi was also very low, so he didn't have the easiest time farming under the turret there, but they used that to just rotate into the jungle of Ardent Alliance once again, steal a bunch of farm, and get that much further ahead.
Yeah, and not only that, but Wine with the only ultimate in the game at that point. So a bit ill-advised for Ardent to go ahead and walk in there, considering they didn't have any reflex blocks, and in fact still don't.
Yeah.
So going up against a Koshka at level 6 with that long of a stun and that much damage is very hard. We're going to see it again here. Twirl coming through, and there we go. Druid going to try and box him in with the ultimate, but Ruin gets too low. Ardent Alliance moves forward to deal some damage, and without Koshka's ult up, they can't quite make a pick.
Yeah, but I like what you were saying. That I don't think it was a good idea to try to fight at that gold mine when they had, Druid. Careful, buddy. But yeah, I think they should have done what they did against Gangstars, which was just try to steal it, and if they can't, well, you know, whatever. They don't necessarily have the same amount of poke as they did with the Kestrel, of course, but maybe Flash X jumps in and tries to get a blood for blood, something like that. Maybe they felt like they just had no opportunity because they don't have that good of poke, and instead they wanted to try to engage. But as you were saying, the ultimate for Koshka, they were down levels, and Flash X was already very low.
Flash X alone right now. He has no gauntlet, and he is dead to rights. Wine will chase him down eventually. Going to try and blood for blood over to these minions and pop his Fountain of Renewal just to buy some time, but can only buy so much as Wine just pounces and twirls his way to his first kill of the game.
Yeah, and they actually spotted that Mixi is going back here, so a very aggressive push onto this lane. They want to deny him some farm and get a bit of damage down onto this turret. With the Sky, you can do this so fast.
Yeah, there we go. You see some more Surrey strikes. They really want this turret right now. They're ignoring the enemy, and they nearly get it. And there's a great hook coming through, but no follow-up. Druid did have his ultimate down. He used it to deal damage to the turret. So bringing him in puts the ultimate from Finn on cooldown for a little bit, but they nearly take out the first turret of the game as we take a look at Druid's fancy stylus.
The stylus mechanics there. You guys got a close-up of that one. I've been meaning to pick up a stylus myself, even though I play on a giant iPad Pro. I'm not sure how effective it would be compared to the small iPhone that Druid uses.
There we go, pulling Flash X in. It's a little bit, but still nothing, no follow-up here. Pretty heavy level advantage to Invincible Armada at the moment. Give it Mixi a little bit of slow there with the Quibble. Mixi gonna ult in response, actually. So worried about possible follow-up. Means he's not gonna have it for any future fights, however. And now we're gonna see tempted a gold miner here. They see Druid's low on energy. Gauntlet gonna fall immediately. Druid still trying to deal damage. Just gonna Suri strike out with the reflex block and kill Flash X. Shinkaigen on the run. He will be ulted by Koshka himself, trying to chase down Druid, but there's way too much HP on Druid for that. Bit of a risky gold miner, and that is going to be instantly punished by Invincible Armada.
Yeah, I think that was a bit desperate, to be honest. It was getting very, very close for that gold mine to complete, and maybe they felt like they had already done a bit of damage to Invincible Armada, but not a very good position there. The ultimate was down for Vox. The gauntlet was not as spectacular as the previous ones, and they were already taking so much damage from the gold mine, so definitely not going to work out for them there.
Yeah, see the minion candy down now. Make sure they can secure it because it is about to go through. And there we go, 300 gold over to Invincible Armada as they take a 3,000 lead, so pretty healthy advantage as they look to take this second game and force a final match in blind pick.
Yeah, they're looking really good in this game. I was saying that Ardent Alliance got the better of the draft, and I still do believe that that is true. I honestly just feel like Ardent Alliance maybe getting a little bit too excited, trying to take fights when they shouldn't. I feel like if they just do what they did in the last game and try to outplay Invincible Armada towards that later game when Invincible Armada starts to get a bit robotic, I think that'll work out for them much better instead of trying to force fights like this.
Well, Druid did such a good job of just holding off, getting that full damage forward barrage, and then using his reflex block to Suri strike through the gauntlet wall without getting stunned. We have another fight going on right now as Mixi straight up going to die. Gets caught out by a hook from Ruin. I'm sure we'll see a replay of that in just a second. But we've seen how effective. This is a very execution-heavy comp from Invincible Armada, where if you don't chain your CC correctly, you can have a lot of trouble. Flash X going to go in right now. Goodbye, Flash X. Tries to pull off a gauntlet, but dies mid-flight. Shot down out of the air.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate too, because the gauntlet didn't even go down to try to deny the turret kill. Here's the kill actually onto Mixi.
Whoop. Really
Where
nice
are you going, son? Get back here.
Very nice hook. And we saw Hunters try to use a Finn composition, which, if executed properly, could have worked, but Invincible Armada seems to be the only one who can really get all of their players on the same page when it comes to the Finn hook and how you use it with the other abilities on other heroes on your team.
Yeah, to be honest, that may just be because other teams have kind of written off Finn as a lower tier roam pick, whereas Invincible Armada's obviously practiced this a lot, so maybe teams don't have a lot of practice against it, and Invincible Armada has extra practice, so turns out to be very effective when you think of it that way.
I think Finn is a little bit lower teal. I mean, his tail is teal. His lower part appears to be teal.
Does it? I mean, it looks pretty greenish brown to me. I guess a little bit of teal tint, perhaps.
All right, we're going to have another fight here as Flash X gets caught out and stunned. Goodbye. Invincible Armada now dominating this. Mixi just going to get hooked back in, and then chain CC. They're trying to kill Mixi, get him under the turret. Sonic Zoom going to save his life just barely. But Invincible Armada up 8-1 here, 5k gold, and they've changed their tactics. They're putting on the pressure early this time. They're not just sitting back and farming, being more aggressive about diving. And Flash X, he still has his gauntlet down, so no real chance to turn this around. Another great hook from Ruin.
Yeah, unfortunately, Koshka ult. Very nice reflex block timing there, actually, after the hook to survive the Koshka ultimate. He certainly would have been dead had he not reflex blocked at that exact moment. So just trying to stay alive, trying to stay into this game. I think that even though Ardent Alliance hasn't had the best early game, they still definitely have a chance. Once we do get a bit later, Koshka is going to fall off. Building an Aftershock this time instead of a Broken Myth is very interesting to me.
I think that they were really startled by the amount of shield that we saw Ardent Alliance be willing to build in the last game. So this actually does mix up their damage a little bit. So
yeah, it's very true. I mean, you do have to respond to the way that the enemy team is itemizing.
There we go, pulling Flash X in. There's a hook, it gets Mixi again alongside Flash X, but there's no more threat. Shinkaigen can't get onto the back line, and there's an ultimate from Koshka and Druid for the finisher. And now there's the slow from Druid's Frostburn going to successfully mop up that fight for an ace.
Yeah, just a very nice position there from Invincible Armada, catching Ardent Alliance, trying to check that brush, getting the very, very nice fin hook as well onto two of those members is going to win them that fight. They're already so far ahead here. The one thing about the bounty system is that if you can get far enough ahead that you've got an extra big item onto your opponents, it's not even going to matter because they cannot take a fight if they keep fighting like this.
Yeah, just another great hook. I love Ruin's patience with his ultimate here, just waiting for them to retreat, yanking them back in, and then getting the Quibble stun to follow it up. And Flash X just not having any luck with the gauntlet this game. Either it's getting canceled or, I mean, frankly, Invincible Armada doesn't mind just sitting in the middle of it and continuously fighting.
The thing about Finn as well, and this is, you know, pretty consistent amongst other MOBA games also, is that you don't even have to use your hook in order to put on the pressure. You can just threaten it. Rune's just sitting there. He's like, I'm going to hook soon, and all of them start freaking out. They're not splitting up, which they should be. That's another thing I've noticed. Ardent seems to not have that much practice against the Finn. They're all grouping up, both Mixi and Flash X getting pulled over and over again. I don't think that can really happen, and they have to be very careful about the threat of that hook as well.
And we're going to see a 15-minute Kraken here. Skyle dropped very early on. Bit of an awkward placement for that, but never mind. And that Kraken will be easily taken. 11-1 the kill score, 10,000 the gold lead in a dominant showing from Invincible Armada, bringing out the Finn and really making it work. And you know, Valdez, the difference between the Sky and the Celeste is so noticeable because of the Suri Strike and the mobility from Sky. Ardent Alliance hasn't been able to lock down Druid this game, and that has been very much a key to their success compared to game number one.
You know, that's actually a really good point. That may have just been a response to the Black Feather. It's almost like they allowed Ardent Alliance to pick the Black Feather again. And have you seen a single fight where Shinkaigen was able to get close to Druid?
No.
The answer is no. And part of that is Sky, part of that is Finn.
Nice reflex block from Druid to start off this fight. There's the ultimate dropped again. Shinkaigen does get onto Druid, but the Frostburn is just too much. And now they're going to ult the back line. Shinkaigen is going to fall. Druid still at relatively high HP. Now Mixi, he's going to be the next to die. Flash X alive, but there is a Kraken on their turrets, and that's going to be it. Druid will clean it up. Druid here, 9-0-4, an absolute monster in this game. And that'll be game number 2 for Invincible Armada. They will tie the series up 1-1 and send us to blind pick.
Pretty unbelievable.